The billionaire's fiancé forgets his child in the car, then the black maid reveals the truth. 6 years ago, when Aisha Thompson first stepped into the Harrington estate on the outskirts of Los Angeles, Alexander was drowning in grief. His wife, Sophie, died from complications after an emergency C-section. At 38, a tech software mogul who programmed world-changing apps, he found himself utterly lost, facing a newborn girl who cried through every night. Aisha, a black widow since age 28 and childless due to health issues, had spent the last 15 years raising others' kids. But little Sophia, named after her mom, was different from day one. When Aisha cradled her, a profound bond formed, like fate's design. "She likes you," Alexander sighed in relief. Aisha bottle-fed her at midnight, stayed up through fevers, and sang her to sleep. If this story tugs at your heart, hit that subscribe button for more inspiring tales, and drop a comment. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? Aisha had come through a high-end agency, the kind that vetted nannies like they were applying for the CIA. A black widow at 28 after her husband got taken out in a freak car wreck, she'd buried her dreams of motherhood when doctors dropped the bomb about her infertility. For the last 15 years, she'd poured her soul into other people's kids, wiping noses, kissing boo-boos, and tucking in little ones who weren't hers. But this gig felt different from the jump. The agency rep had warned her, "The guy's a mess. Wife died in childbirth. Kid's only a week old." Aisha nodded, steeling herself, but nothing prepped her for the raw ache in Alexander's voice when he greeted her. "Just make her stop," he said, gesturing weakly at the bassinet. "Please." She scooped up the baby, little Sophia, named after her mom, and the cries softened almost instantly. The infant's tiny fingers curled around Aisha's pinky, and something cracked open inside her. It wasn't just duty, it was like fate slapping her in the face. "Hey there, sweet pea," Aisha whispered, rocking her gently. The baby's big brown eyes locked on hers, and for the first time since the hospital, silence fell over the room. Alexander let out a ragged breath. "She likes you," he said, his voice cracking with relief. From that night on, Aisha was the one up at 2 a.m., warming bottles under the kitchen faucet, humming old soul tunes her mama used to sing. When Sophia spiked a fever at 3 weeks old, Aisha sat vigil by the crib, cool cloth on the baby's forehead, whispering, "You got this, little fighter. Ain't nobody taking you from us." Alexander watched from the doorway sometimes, arms crossed, envy twisting in his gut. He'd conquered boardrooms, sealed deals worth millions, but fatherhood? It kicked his ass. "How do you do it?" he asked one dawn, as Aisha changed a diaper with expert flips. She glanced up, wiping sweat from her brow. "Practice, Mr. Harrington, and a whole lot of love." He nodded, but inside he felt like an outsider in his own home. Still, he threw himself back into work, coding late into the night, while Aisha became Sophia's world. The first real magic hit when Sophia was 2 months old. Aisha was on the floor, making goofy faces, when the baby cracked her first smile, a gummy, lopsided grin that lit up the nursery. Aisha's heart swelled so big it hurt. "Look at you, shining like a star," she cooed, tears pricking her eyes. Alexander caught it from the hall, peeking in like a ghost. That smile wasn't for him, it was for her. But damn if it didn't ease the knot in his chest a little. Months blurred into milestones. Sophia's first babble. Mama, clear as day, aimed right at Aisha during a midnight feed. Aisha froze, bottle in hand, a lump forming in her throat. "Oh, honey," she murmured, pressing a kiss to the baby's soft curls. "I'm just Auntie Aisha, but I'll take it." Alexander overheard from his study, the words stabbing him like a knife. He should have been jealous, but all he felt was gratitude. At least someone could fill the void his wife left. By her first birthday, Sophia was toddling, those chubby legs wobbling straight into Aisha's open arms. "Gotcha!" Aisha laughed, scooping her up and spinning her around. The kid giggled like it was the best thing ever. Alexander snapped a photo on his phone, smiling for the first time in ages. Sophia called him Daddy with that same bubbly joy. But her bond with Aisha ran deeper, like roots twisting underground. Playtime became their ritual, Aisha on the rug, voicing dolls in silly accents. "Oh no, Miss Fluffy, The tea party's ruined. Sophia would clap her hands, eyes wide. Again, Auntie, again. At 3, Sophia dropped the bomb one rainy afternoon. They were building a fort out of couch cushions, thunder rumbling outside. Sophia paused, her little face serious. Auntie Aisha, when I grow up, can I live with you forever? Aisha's breath hitched. She pulled the girl into her lap, fighting back the sting in her eyes. Of course, sweetheart. I'll always take care of you. It was a promise she meant with every fiber, even if it twisted her up inside knowing she was just the help. Life settled into a rhythm, Alexander jetting off to Silicon Valley meetings, Aisha holding down the fort. Sophia grew into a bubbly kid, full of hugs and questions, loving them both fiercely. But cracks started showing last year when Alexander met Isabella Voss at some glitzy Hollywood fundraiser. She was 29, an up-and-coming actress with 500,000 Instagram followers, all blonde bombshell vibes and filtered perfection. Online, she flaunted red carpets, yacht parties, and designer bags, sucking him in like a vortex. At 43, 5 years widowed, being around her made him feel alive again, like he could outrun the ghosts. Aisha clocked the red flags from their first dinner at the estate. Isabella swept in, air-kissing Alexander, her eyes scanning the room like a hawk spotting prey. They lit up at the sports cars in the garage, the vintage watches locked in the safe, stuff that once belonged to Sophia's mom. But when her gaze landed on the little girl, it went ice cold. Oh, this one's a clinger, Isabella smirked as Sophia climbed into Alexander's lap, refusing to budge. A 5-year-old should be more independent, don't you think? Her tone dripped fake sweetness, but Aisha saw through it. The way Isabella's smile didn't reach her eyes, the subtle dig that screamed jealousy. Alexander laughed it off, dazzled by Isabella's glow. She's just affectionate, he said, ruffling Sophia's hair. But Aisha's stomach churned. She'd seen types like this before, gold diggers masking ambition as charm. As Isabella chattered about her latest audition, Aisha cleared plates in silence, her mind racing. This woman wasn't here for the family, she was here for the lifestyle. And if she stuck around, God help them all. Isabella Voss breezed into the Harrington estate like she owned the place, her heels clicking sharply on the marble foyer. At 29, she was Hollywood's next big thing. 500,000 Instagram followers drooling over her filtered selfies from Cannes red carpets and Malibu yacht parties. Blonde waves cascading down her back, her figure poured into a tight designer dress. She flashed that megawatt smile at Alexander, who lit up like a kid on Christmas. Babe, you look exhausted from all those meetings, she purred, wrapping her arms around his neck and planting a kiss that lingered just a beat too long. Alexander, at 43, felt that old spark ignite. 5 years since Sophia's death had left him numb, but Isabella made him feel alive, like he could chase sunsets again instead of spreadsheets. Aisha caught the whole show from the kitchen doorway, wiping her hands on a dish towel, her gut twisting. She'd seen women like this, hungry for the spotlight, using charm like a weapon. Isabella's eyes darted around, clocking the imported sports cars through the window, the gleam of the vintage watch collection in the study safe. This place is insane, Isabella gushed, her voice dripping honey. You built all this from scratch? Tech genius and loaded? Total package. Alexander chuckled, eating it up. But Aisha noticed how Isabella's gaze skimmed right over little Sophia, playing quietly with blocks in the corner, like the kid was invisible furniture. That first dinner sealed the deal for Aisha's suspicions. Alexander grilled steaks on the patio, the LA sunset painting everything gold. Sophia toddled over, clinging to his leg with her usual grin. Daddy, up, she demanded, arms outstretched. He scooped her up, nuzzling her cheek. There's my girl. Isabella forced a smile, but her eyes narrowed, lips thinning. Oh, she's such a clinger, she said, sipping her wine with a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. At 5, kids should be off doing their own thing, right? More independent. Alexander brushed it off. She's just affectionate, takes after her mom. But Aisha, serving the salad, felt the chill. Isabella's tone wasn't playful. It was a jab, sharp as a switchblade. When Alexander stepped away to take a work call, the mask dropped faster than a bad audition. Isabella leaned back in her chair, scrolling through her phone, ignoring Sophia's tentative approach. Look, I made a tower, the girl said, holding up her blocks proudly. Isabella glanced up, annoyance flashing. Yeah, cute. Now go play somewhere else. Adults are talking. Sophia's face crumpled, but she bit her lip and scampered off. Aisha swooped in, kneeling. Hey, champ, that's an awesome tower. Let's build a castle next. Sophia nodded, but her usual spark dimmed, like someone had flipped a switch. It only got worse from there. Isabella started crashing the estate more often, turning weekends into her personal runway show. She'd lounge by the pool in barely there bikinis, posting selfies with captions like, living that billionaire life blessed. Alexander ate it up, whisking her off to fancy dinners downtown, coming home late with that goofy grin. She's got this energy, Aisha. Makes me feel young again, he'd say, loosening his tie. Aisha nodded politely, but inside she seethed. Just be careful, Mr. Harrington. Folks like that sometimes see dollar signs first. The real venom showed when Alexander wasn't around. One afternoon, he jetted to a conference in San Fran, leaving Isabella in charge. She strutted into the kitchen like a queen, barking orders. Aisha, fetch me a latte. Extra foam, no sugar. Aisha bit her tongue, steaming the milk, while Sophia peeked from the hall. Can I have juice? The girl asked shyly. Isabella rolled her eyes. God, this kid's always needy. No, go outside or something. Sophia's lower lip trembled, but she obeyed, slinking to the garden. Aisha slammed the mug down harder than needed. She's 5, Miss Voss. Kids get thirsty. Isabella smirked. And you're the help. Stick to scrubbing floors. Later that day, Aisha found Sophia curled up under the swing set, hugging her knees, tears streaking her cheeks. She said I'm too sticky, Sophia whispered, using Isabella's word wrong, but hitting the nail on the head. Aisha pulled her into a hug, rage bubbling in her chest. You're perfect, sweet pea. Some folks just don't get how special you are. But the damage stuck. Sophia started withdrawing, her laughter quieter, her hugs rarer when Isabella lurked nearby. Nights were the worst. Isabella would crash in the guest suite, blasting music while Alexander worked late. One evening, Sophia had a nightmare, padding into the living room in her PJs. Auntie, she called, but Isabella intercepted, blocking the hall. Go back to bed, brat. Your dad's busy. Sophia froze, eyes wide. But I'm scared, Isabella huffed. Toughen up. Life's not all cuddles. Aisha overheard from the stairs, storming down. I'll handle it, Miss Voss. She scooped Sophia up, shooting daggers. Kids need comfort, not cold shoulders. As weeks turned to months, the tension simmered like a pot ready to boil over. Isabella complained nonstop to Aisha when alone. That girl's way too clingy, she'd whine, filing her nails. Won't let go of her dad for a second. It's not normal. Creepy, almost. Aisha clenched her fist behind her back. She's lost her mom. Cut her some slack. But Isabella just laughed. Slack? I'm the one building a future here. She'd better learn her place. Sophia changed fast. The bubbly kid who once raced through the halls now tiptoed, peeking around corners before entering a room. Is she here? She'd whisper to Aisha, eyes darting. Aisha's heart broke every time. Not right now, honey. Come on, let's bake cookies. They'd mixed dough in the kitchen, flour flying. But even then, Sophia's smiles felt forced, shadows creeping in. Alexander noticed bits and pieces, but Isabella played him like a pro. In front of him, she'd coo at Sophia, offering half-hearted pats. Such a cutie, she'd say, voice syrupy. But the second he turned, the Ice Queen emerged. Aisha wanted to scream it from the rooftops. But who was she? Just the nanny. Keep an eye out, she told herself, watching Isabella's every move. The woman's jealousy wasn't subtle anymore. It hung in the air like smoke, choking the joy out of the house. And Aisha knew deep down it was only going to get uglier. The Harrington estate in Beverly Hills transformed into a Hollywood fever dream for Alexander and Isabella's engagement bash. Golden lights draped the antique stone walls, bouncing off pristine white marble floors like diamonds on fire. The backyard sprawled with a shimmering pool and a fountain spitting water in perfect arcs, while luxury rides, Lambos, Ferraris, lined up like soldiers at the black iron gates. Guests milled about, clinking champagne flutes, fake laughs echoing over the orchestra's smooth jazz. Alexander, sharp in his tailored tux, beamed as he shook hands with tech bros and starlets. Isabella owned the night, striding through the crowd like a goddess on a mission, her golden hair pinned in an elegant updo, wine-red evening gown hugging her curves, stilettos sparkling under the chandeliers. Every eye followed her, not just for the looks, but the raw ambition radiating off her like heat from asphalt. Aisha weaved through the chaos, tray of bubbly balanced on one hand, feeling like a ghost in her plain black uniform. She'd been up since dawn, polishing silver and arranging flowers, but now she was just the help. Isabella spotted her from across the room and snapped her fingers. "Aisha, more wine over here. Now!" she barked, not even glancing up from her chat with some producer. Aisha swallowed the bile rising in her throat, forcing a nod. "Yes, Miss Voss." She'd gotten used to the dismissals, the way Isabella's tone drew that invisible line. "You serve, I rule." But tonight the air crackled with something sharper, like a storm brewing. A familiar squeal cut through the buzz. "Auntie Aisha!" Sophia darted in, her pale pink dress fluttering, brown hair tousled from garden play. She crashed into Aisha's legs, hugging tight, eyes wide with unease. "I don't want to stay with them. They keep staring, making me smile." "I just want you." Aisha knelt, smoothing the girl's curls, her heart squeezing. "Okay, Munchkin, but promise to be good. This is big for your dad." Sophia nodded but stuck to Aisha like glue, her small hand gripping the hem of Aisha's skirt in the sea of glass and glamour. "Sophia, get over here right now." Isabella's voice sliced like a whip, cold and commanding. The girl flinched, ducking behind Aisha. "Don't cling to the help. Act like a little lady, not some street kid." Sophia bit her lip, tears welling, her tiny frame trembling. Aisha stepped forward, voice soft but steady. "It's fine, Miss Voss. She just needs a little TLC. Sophia's an angel." Isabella's blue eyes turned to slits, icy as a winter blast. "You don't get to butt in. I'll teach her how to be a real woman." Sophia tugged Aisha's sleeve, whispering urgently, I gotta go potty." Isabella waved her off, face hardening. "Hold it. We're in the middle of something important." Aisha clocked the girl's lip-biting habit kicking in, that telltale sign of feeling ditched. Her chest ached. Sophia had lost her mom young, and now this witch was piling on the cruelty. "Miss Voss, can I take her? It'll just be a sec." Isabella's glare could freeze lava. "You stay and serve. Sophia will learn to suck it up like a high-class girl." Half an hour later, the ballroom pulsed with energy, glasses tinkling, polite chuckles blending with the music. But in a quiet corner, Aisha couldn't peel her eyes off Sophia. The kid stood frozen, clutching her pink dress, face flushed crimson, eyes glued to the floor. Aisha rushed over, dropping low. "What's wrong, baby girl?" Sophia's voice quivered. I couldn't hold it. I had an accident." Tears streamed down her cheeks, her body shaking with shame. Aisha gripped her hand tight, fighting the lump in her own throat. "Hey, no big deal, sweetie. We'll fix it quick. Nobody'll know." She scanned the room, then hustled Sophia out to the hallway toward the garage, away from prying eyes. The girl halted by Alexander's black Mercedes-Benz, head down. "I'll wait here. Don't want anyone seeing me like this. I'm so embarrassed." Aisha stroked her hair, voice firm. "Nothing to be ashamed of, kiddo. Hang tight. I'll grab clean clothes." Sophia nodded, climbing into the back seat, eyes pleading. Aisha shut the door, promising, "Back in a flash," and bolted upstairs to the laundry room, rifling for a fresh outfit. 10 minutes tops, and she was back in the garage, heart pounding from the sprint. But she froze solid. The doors were locked tight. "Sophia!" Aisha banged on the window, panic rising like bile. The girl slumped in the back, gasping, the glass fogged up from the stifling heat. The August sun had turned the sealed car into a death trap, the air thick and suffocating. Aisha yanked the handles desperately, but the child safety locks held firm. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she spotted Isabella in the shadows, dangling the keys with a smug twist to her lips. Aisha's world narrowed to that locked Mercedes, the August heat turning the garage into a sauna from hell. Sophia's face pressed against the fog glass, her breath shallow and ragged, skin flushed red like she'd been baked alive. "Hold on, baby!" Aisha yelled, her voice cracking as she pounded the window again. No give. The child locks mocked her, unyielding. Panic clawed up her throat, but she shoved it down. Sophia needed her now, not some meltdown. Spotting a loose brick by the wall, she snatched it up, grip slick with sweat. Isabella lounged in the shadows, keys jingling like a taunt. "What the hell are you doing?" Aisha snarled, but Isabella just smirked, arms crossed. "No time for that, bitch." Aisha swung the brick hard, glass shattering with a crack that echoed like gunfire. Shards sliced her hands, blood welling hot and sticky, but she didn't feel the sting. Adrenaline pumped like rocket fuel. "Sophia, wake up, sweetie!" Aisha screamed, reaching through the jagged hole, unlocking from inside. The door flew open, blasting her with oven-hot air that stole her breath. Sophia slumped in the seat, eyes half closed, chest barely rising. Aisha yanked her out, cradling the limp body against her chest. "Come on, fight, kiddo!" She pressed an ear to the girl's chest. Faint heartbeat, thready but there. Relief mixed with terror. She wasn't gone, but damn close. "Help! Somebody! Help!" Her shout bounced off the concrete walls, raw and desperate. Footsteps thundered from the party, guests piling in, faces twisted in shock. But Alexander burst through first, tucks rumpled, eyes wild. "Oh God, Sophia!" He dropped to his knees beside them, hands hovering like he was afraid to touch. "What happened?" His voice boomed, shaking with fury and fear. Aisha fought to steady her breath, blood dripping from her cuts onto Sophia's pink dress, staining it crimson. She was locked in. The heat, it was killing her. I had to smash the window. Alexander's face drained white, staring at his daughter like the world was ending. "Call 911, now!" He roared at the gawking crowd, who fumbled for phones, murmurs rippling like wildfire. Isabella slinked in then, hair slightly mussed from rushing, her blue eyes scanning the scene with that calculated blankness. "Darling, what on earth?" she said, voice pitched high with fake concern. "The guests are freaking out." Alexander whipped around, veins bulging in his neck. "My kid almost died. Where were you? You were supposed to watch her." Isabella blinked, composing herself. She was acting up, so I figured a timeout would teach her manners." Aisha's blood boiled. Timeout? In a locked car inferno? But she bit her tongue, focused on Sophia, whispering, "Stay with me, Angel. Auntie's got you." Sirens wailed in the distance, closing in fast. Paramedics charged through the garage like avenging angels, gear clanking. "Step back," one barked, kneeling to check vitals. Aisha reluctantly handed Sophia over, her arms feeling empty and wrong. The medic's face went grim, pulse weak, breathing shallow, severe dehydration. "Heat stroke, bad. We gotta move, stat." They loaded her onto the stretcher, IV lines snaking in, monitors beeping erratically. Aisha's knees buckled, but she grabbed the car door for support, ignoring the fresh cuts. The ambulance screeched off, red lights flashing, chaos against the estate walls. Alexander piled into his own car, peeling out after them, face set like stone. Aisha jumped in the back of a guest's SUV, some producer guy who offered without a word, her mind racing. At Cedars-Sinai, the ER doors whooshed open, medics yelling stats as they wheeled Sophia in. 6-year-old female, locked in vehicle, core temp 105, unresponsive. Alexander stormed up, shoving past nurses. "That's my daughter. Where's the doc?" Doors slammed shut behind the gurney, leaving them in the sterile hall, fluorescent lights buzzing like angry bees. Alexander paced like a caged tiger, tugging his hair, sweat soaking his collar. "She has to be okay," he muttered, more to himself, fists clenched white knuckle. Aisha sank into a plastic chair, hands bandaged roughly by a nurse, the pain finally hitting like hammers. Blood seeped through the gauze, but who cared? Her mind replayed the fogged glass, Sophia's gasps. She was just the nanny, no right to this storm, but her heart was shredded. Sophia was her world, blood or not. Minutes dragged like hours. Isabella showed up eventually, makeup touched up, striding in like it was a photo op. "Alex, honey, any word?" she asked, laying a hand on his arm. He shrugged her off, eyes blazing. "You think a timeout means roasting her alive?" Isabella's mask cracked for a split second. Fear, before smoothing over. "I didn't mean..." It got out of hand. "She's tough, right?" Aisha shot up, voice low and venomous. "Tough? She's 6, you monster!" But Alexander waved her silent, his glare fixed on Isabella. "We'll talk later." The doors swung open. A doc emerged, mask down, expression guarded but relieved. "She's stabilizing. Severe heat stroke, dehydration, no brain damage yet. A few more minutes, though." He trailed off, but the implication hit like a gut punch. Alexander sagged against the wall, covering his face, his shoulders heaving. "Can I see her?" The doc nodded. "One at a time. Short." Alexander vanished inside, leaving Aisha and Isabella in tense silence. Isabella paced, checking her phone, muttering about the party fallout. Aisha ignored her, praying silently. "Come back, kiddo. We need you." Alexander shoved through the ER doors, his tux feeling like a straitjacket, heart hammering like he'd run a marathon. Sophia lay there on the crisp white sheets, IV dripping steadily into her skinny arm, monitors beeping a fragile rhythm. Her eyelids fluttered, then cracked open, weak as a whisper. "Daddy," she rasped, voice scratchy like sandpaper. He grabbed her hand, squeezing tight, tears blurring his vision. "I'm right here, princess. Daddy's got you." She managed a faint smile, her brown eyes searching the room. "Where's Auntie Aisha? She saved me. She broke the car to get me out." Before he could answer, the door swung open. Isabella glided in, all poise and retouched lipstick, like this was just a pit stop in her glamorous night. "Sophia, sweetie," she cooed, voice dripping with fake sugar, leaning over the bed with a plastic smile. "How are you feeling?" Sophia shrank back, pressing into the pillows, her little body tensing like a coiled spring. Alexander felt the shift, a gut punch. His daughter, fearless around strangers, cowering from his fiancée. Rage boiled up, hot and unchecked, the kind he hadn't felt since Sophia's mom flatline. "Isabella, hallway, now!" he growled, voice low and thunderous. She straightened, eyes widening for a split second before that cool mask snapped back. Out in the corridor, under the harsh fluorescence, he rounded on her, fists balled. "What the fuck were you thinking? Locking a 6-year-old in a goddamn oven?" Isabella blinked, then shrugged like it was no big deal. "I didn't mean for it to blow up like this. She was misbehaving. Thought a little discipline would straighten her out for the party." Alexander's jaw dropped, veins popping in his forehead. "Discipline? She almost died, Isabella. You call trapping her in that heat box teaching manners?" Her eyes narrowed, that calculating glint kicking in. "You're overreacting, and your nanny wrecked the car. Who's gonna foot that bill? You just let the help run wild?" Alexander stared at her, really seeing her for the first time, like peeling back layers of bullshit to the rotten core. He flashed back to his late wife's words, whispered in her final hours, "Take care of our girl. Make sure she's surrounded by real love." Aisha had shown that, busting glass, bleeding for Sophia. Isabella, pure ice, all about the image, the ring, the lifestyle. "Overreacting?" he spat, stepping closer, voice shaking with fury. "My kid's hooked to machines because of you. That's not love. That's cruelty wrapped in a pretty bow." Isabella's face twisted, but she held ground. "Everything I do is for us, Alex. I didn't want her tantrums tanking your rep at the biggest night of our lives." He laughed, bitter and hollow. "Rep? I'd burn every deal, every dollar, before letting a cold-hearted snake like you near her again." Her mask cracked fully now, tears welling. But he saw the anger underneath, not remorse. "You don't mean that. We're engaged. This is our future." Alexander shook his head, disgust churning his stomach. "Not anymore. You showed your true colors today. Get out before I say something I can't take back." She staggered back, lips trembling, but he turned away, done. Back in the room, Sophia dozed lightly, a small smile on her lips as Aisha sat bedside, bandaged hands gently stroking the girl's hair. Aisha jumped up when he entered, eyes downcast. Mr. Harrington, I know that Mercedes was top dollar. If you gotta fire me, I get it. Alexander paused, really looking at her. The cuts on her hands, the worry etched in her face. The unwavering love she'd poured into his daughter for years. Something shifted inside him, a warmth cutting through the chaos. Aisha, he said, voice softer than it had been in ages. You saved her life. No car, no money could touch that. Their eyes locked, and for the first time the air hummed with unspoken truth. Aisha's breath hitched, her heart pounding. She'd buried her feelings deep, knowing her place. But here he was, seeing her, really seeing. From the hallway through the glass door, Isabella watched, her smile twisting cold as January frost, eyes promising payback. 2 weeks dragged by in that sterile hospital haze, but finally Sophia got the green light to head home. Alexander carried her through the estate doors, her small arms looped around his neck, face still pale but eyes brighter. Home sweet home, princess, he murmured, planting a kiss on her forehead. Aisha trailed behind, lugging bags of meds and toys, her bandaged hands throbbing but ignored. The place felt off, echoey, like the party ghost still lingered. Sophia perked up the second Aisha stepped into her room, reaching out. Auntie, story time? Aisha grinned, settling on the bed. You bet, kiddo. Pick your fave. Life tiptoed back to normal, but cracks showed fast. Sophia stuck close, her usual bounce muted, flinching at loud noises. Aisha hovered, brewing herbal teas and reading extra bedtime tales, her heart aching every time the girl whispered about the hot car dream. Alexander buried himself in work calls, but his glances at Aisha lingered longer, loaded with unspoken thanks. Isabella. She vanished for days, then resurfaced one afternoon like a storm cloud, barging into the living room with a silver tray clutched tight. Shards of crystal glittered on it like broken promises, her blue eyes blazing with accusation. Aisha, explain this crap, she snapped, thrusting the tray forward. My baccarat glass, shattered in my room. Spill it. Aisha froze mid-fold of laundry, recognizing the piece she'd accidentally knocked over that morning while dusting. She straightened, chin up. Sorry, Miss Voss. My bad. I slipped. I'll cover the cost. Isabella's laugh cut sharply, bitter as black coffee. You think you can afford this? It's worth 3 months of your paycheck. But cash ain't the issue. It's your attitude. Since that garage stunt, you've been acting like you run the joint, eating at the family table, crashing in the guest room, even hitting up the library like you're one of us. Aisha's cheeks burned, but she held steady. I just followed Mr. Harrington's orders. He wanted me close for Sophia's sake. Isabella's smile turned razor thin, stepping closer. Exactly. And you milked it. Forgot your spot, Aisha? You're the help. Scrub toilets, not playhouse. The words hit like slaps, but Aisha swallowed hard, voice even. I'm here for the kid. That's it. Isabella leaned in, venom dripping. Bull. You're worming your way in, thinking you can replace me. Alexander's voice boomed from the doorway, freezing them both. What the hell's going on? Isabella spun, sweet as pie in a blink. Just setting boundaries, babe. She's been overstepping big time. Alexander's eyes darkened, flicking between them. Aisha's here for Sophia, and in that, she's gold. Silence dropped heavy, sucking the air out. Isabella stiffened, then let out a shaky laugh, fury cracking through. Gold? You forgetting I'm your fiancé? The one turning heads at your events, the arm candy society eats up. She's just a mop pusher spinning yarns at bedtime. Alexander shut his eyes tight, like wrestling a demon inside. When they opened, steel glinted. Maybe I did fall for you once, Isabella. Your fire, your shine. I thought it'd patch me up after losing my wife. Her face lit with a smug flicker, but he advanced, voice dropping low and lethal. But that day in the garage, seeing my girl fight for air, you didn't give a damn, just power plays. And right then, all I felt was sick to my stomach. Isabella paled, lips quivering. Sick? Everything I did was to shield you. Didn't want her fits nuking your image. Image, Alexander exploded, voice echoing off the walls. I'd trash every scrap of status before letting a jealous viper slither into my kid's life. She's 6, lost her mom, and you chose to torture her instead of love her. Unforgivable. Tears spilled down Isabella's cheeks, but her fists clenched, nails digging into her palms. You're screwing this up, torching us. He closed the gap, tone ironclad. Not me. You did. We're done. Don't mess with my daughter or my world again. Get out, now. She reeled back, face ashen. You're kicking me out. Damn right, he said, unyielding. Leave my house and don't look back. A sob ripped from her throat, mascara streaking her perfect face. She balled her fists, but the fight drained out, heels clacking frantically as she stormed off. The front door slammed like a gunshot, silence crashing in. Alexander stood rooted, chest heaving, eyes shadowed but clear. He'd axed the poison, and it felt like breathing fresh air. That night, around 2 a.m., muffled cries yanked Aisha from sleep. She bolted up, throwing on a robe, racing to Sophia's room. The girl sat bolt upright, shaking, sweat plastering her hair. The car! Too hot! Can't breathe, she gasped, eyes wild. Aisha enveloped her, rocking slowly. Shh, you're safe, Munchkin. It's just a bad dream. Auntie's here. The door burst open. Alexander rushed in, PJ's rumpled hair a mess. Dark circles carving his face. His heart twisted seeing Sophia nestled in Aisha's arms. Another nightmare? He asked, voice soft. Aisha nodded, holding tight. Warm milk might help. He sank onto the bed edge, big hand trembling as it wrapped Sophia's tiny fingers. Remember, sweetie, your mom used to sing you to sleep. Sophia nodded weakly, tears shining. Sing, Daddy. His deep voice kicked off the lullaby, husky with emotion. Aisha joined, her gentle tone weaving in, creating a warm cocoon. Sophia's breaths evened, eyelids drooping, slipping into peace. In the quiet glow, Alexander lifted his gaze, locking with Aisha's. Thanks. Not just tonight, for everything. She shivered under the intensity. It's my job. Nah, Aisha, he said, voice deepening. It's love. My girl feels it, and so do I. They froze in the dim light, inches apart. If I said I've had feelings for you forever, would you buy it? Tears pricked Aisha's eyes. Mr. Harrington, this can't... She rose to leave, but his voice halted her. Aisha, don't shut me down. She stopped, pulse racing, walls crumbling. I love you too, Alexander, she whispered, lips quivering. In a heartbeat, he pulled her close, their kiss fierce and deep, melting 6 years of loneliness. For once, they owned their hearts. 6 months flew by in a blur of healing, Sophia bouncing back stronger, her giggles filling the estate again. Alexander watched her chase butterflies in the yard, heart swelling. His girl was tough, just like her mom. But tonight, on Miami's golden sands, nerves chewed at him. Waves crashed so softly under the orange-crimson sunset, salt air whipping their hair. Aisha stood barefoot, toes digging into the warm grains, Sophia building sandcastles nearby. Alexander dropped to one knee, pulling a sparkling ring from his pocket, hands steady despite the pounding in his chest. Aisha Thompson, you've given me and my daughter something I thought was gone forever. Real love, the kind that sticks through hell. Will you marry me? Be my wife, Sophia's mom, and walk this road with us? Aisha's eyes widened, tears spilling fast. She threw her arms around him, pulling Sophia in two. Yes, hell yes, Sophia squealed, jumping up and down, sand flying. Yay, family forever. Their laughter mixed with the ocean's roar, sealing the deal under that fiery sky. A month later, the wedding went down in a cozy Texas garden. Nothing flashy, just white flowers lining dirt paths, close friends and neighbors toasting with sweet tea. No red carpets or paparazzi, pure, heartfelt vibes. Aisha glowed in her simple white gown, gripping Alexander's hand tight as Sophia skipped ahead, tossing rose petals, face lit like a firework. They swapped vows under an old oak, straightforward, sacred. I promise to love you fiercely, through thick and thin, Alexander said, voice thick. Aisha squeezed back. And I'll guard our family like it's gold. Cheers erupted, hugs all around, the kind that warmed you to the bones. From that second, they were whole, a love hammered in fire, now shining bright. A year on, their little wooden house in rural Texas buzzed with spring sunshine. Windows flung wide, breeze carrying wild grass scents and bird chirps. Aisha stood in the modest kitchen, floral apron dusted with flour, pulling cookies from the oven while Sophia hunched over the table, practicing her science spiel. You gotta belt it out louder, clearer, Aisha coached, sliding a warm cookie her way. Sophia nodded, eyes sparkling. This volcano project's gonna blow 'em away. The front door creaked open. Alexander strode in, sleeves rolled on his white shirt, wind-tousled hair, ditching the suit life for something real. Family, I'm home! Sophia bolted like a rocket, leaping into his arms. He spun her high, laughing deeply. My little Einstein, ready to rock the world? Practiced 5 times with Mom Aisha, she beamed, pointing back. Alexander's gaze locked on Aisha, warm and proud. He crossed the room, wiping a flour streak from her cheek, whispering, How's my gorgeous wife holding up? She grinned, squeezing his hand. Busy but buzzing. Just got the nod from the kids' hospital. Part-time gig while she's at school. Proud as hell of you, he said, eyes shining sincerely. The glitzy L.A. mansion was history. This cozy spot brimmed with laughs instead. Alexander had tanked big contracts post-scandal, but who'd miss him? He'd scored gold. A true family. That evening, homemade pizza steamed on the table, lemonade sweating in glasses, sides splitting from jokes. Sophia clambered onto her chair, hoisting her cup. To the new Harrington crew. Aisha and Alexander swapped smiles, knowing this simple start was the jackpot they'd chased. Late afternoon, the Texas sky blushed pink with dusk. The three stood before a white headstone in the quiet cemetery, young maples rustling softly. The inscription read, Sophia Harrington, beloved wife and mother. Little Sophia lay down white daisies, voice clear and steady. Hi, Mommy. Brought you to meet Mom Aisha. I know you've watched from heaven, but today it's official. Aisha knelt, hand trembling on the cool stone, tears brimming. Sophia, I swear I'll love and shield her like my own blood. I ain't replacing you, but I'll stand guard always. Behind, Alexander rested hands on their shoulders, voice cracking raw. Sophia, I found peace at last. Our girl's got a second mom, and me. I can finally grin for real. A gentle breeze whispered through the trees, like a heavenly nod. That night, they lounged on the wooden porch, stars blanketing the sky. Sophia conked out inside, while Aisha leaned into Alexander's shoulder, his arm snug around her. Any regrets? She murmured, voice soft. He squeezed her hand, starlight dancing in his eyes. Sure. Wasting years chasing power and fame instead of living. But with you two, no fear left. Got what bucks can't buy. Aisha smiled, a tear glinting. Me too. Thought I was just the help, nothing to give. But y'all taught me family's the real deal. They sat quietly a beat, crickets chirping, wind sighing. Then Alexander turned, kissing her forehead tenderly. Love you, Aisha. Her reply came steady, warm. Love you too, Alexander. On that humble porch under the stars, they knew their wild ride had landed them here. Healing, true love, endless peace. In the end, this story reminds us that true love, the kind built on sacrifice, kindness, and unbreakable bonds, always triumphs over greed, status, and superficial glamour. It's a quiet power that turns darkness into light, showing us that real happiness blooms in the simple moments, not the spotlight. What about you? Has there ever been a time when love pulled you through a tough spot or redefined what family means to you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories and reflections. Stick around for our next video, where we'll dive into another heartfelt tale of resilience and redemption that might just hit close to home. Thanks so much for watching and being part of this journey with us. It means the world. See you soon.